Recording in progress.
7 o'clock, Your Worship.
Great. Good evening, everybody. I'll bring this regular council meeting to order on Monday, October the 4th, 21 at 7 p.m. and to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of Stahelis. And just a reminder to everybody that your masks are to remain on as uncomfortable as it might get at times. Thank you. The next order of business, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. The next item is late items. Do you have any late items, Your Worship?
Have no late items.
With your permission, Your Worship, I do have a late item, a verbal report coming out of the in-camera.
Yes, certainly.
Thank you then. Could I have approval of the agenda as amended then, please?
Thank you. Next order of business, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. We'll move on to number 4, adoption of council minutes. We have the regular council meeting minutes of September 7, 2021 here for adoption.
Do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Piper, seconded by Councillor Vital. Any errors or omissions? Being none, I call the question. All in favor? Opposed, anybody? No, thank you. Next order of business.
Yes, Your Worship, we'll move on to number 5. Is there any business arising from the minutes?
Any business from councillors arising from the minutes? Being none, we'll move on, please.
Thank you. We'll move on to the consent agenda. We have one item. That's the Advisory Planning Commission meeting minutes of October 16, 2019 here for receipt.
Moved by Councillor Vital, seconded by Councillor Palmer. Call the question. Oh, Councillor Hooper.
Yeah, I know that the Advisory Planning Commission doesn't sit that often, but this is 2 years older. I had to go through all my notes and everything else. Surely there's some other way for this to come forward. Like the Advisory Planning Committee can have a meeting just to agree these minutes. I mean, 2 years. I mean, it's almost 2 years to the 16th will be 2 years. It just takes up so much time going through your notes, trying to remember what was what. I mean, I'd just like to see a time limit put on when we actually get these. 4 or 5 months.
The corporate officer may have a comment on that. Thank you.
Yes, Your Worship, through to Councillor Hooper. The minutes are here for Council's receipt as they were just adopted by the Advisory Planning Commission at their last meeting. So Council does not see the minutes unless they're adopted by the APC.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. If they could just have a meeting to adopt these earlier, because say 2 years is just, well, I don't know, you have to go through all your diaries, your notes and everything else. So I'd like to see something done in the future that we don't wait 2 years for this, these reports to come to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on that? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed, anybody? No, thank you. Next order of business, please.
Yes, Your Worship, we'll move on through to number 8, correspondence. We have a letter dated September 15, 2021 from Langley City regarding the appointment of directors to the Regional District Board. This is here for receipt.
We have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Vital, seconded by Councillor Piper. Call the question. All in favor? Opposed, anybody? No, thank you. Next order of business, please.
Yes, Your Worship. The next item is business arising from the correspondence.
Any business from councillors arising from a correspondence? None being, we'll move on. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to number 10, reports of councillors, committees, committee of the whole and commissions.
Councillor Hooper.
Yeah, good evening. On the September the 8th, 15th, 23rd and 29th, I attended my usual CNRB meetings on Wireless Wednesday as part of Fraser Health. This was on the sonic bracelets that can actually tell them how far away items are, and that it was brilliant. On the 14th, 15th, and 16th of September, I attended UCBM conference and also attended the breakfast for the energy and forestry sections. 21st of September, I took part in the Teramac Institute on place and base neighborhoods roundtable. Again, the speakers here were absolutely incredible. Again, that's part of Fraser Health. 22nd of September, I took part in a webinar from the Alzheimer's Society on responding to a diagnostic as part of Fraser Health. 22nd of September, I also attended a Zoom meet with Fraser Health. And at the same time, I attended a meeting on the situation table. It was a little bit listening to one and going on to the other, but I managed to record one of them as well. So that was two. And again, on the 22nd of September, I attended the C2C meeting and one more. And on the 1st of October, I attended with other members of the BCCRN to celebrate National Seniors Day and ending elders abuse. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Palmer.
My areas of responsibility, I attended the Fraser Valley Regional Library Board meeting in September, and unfortunately it was scheduled exactly the same time as a C2C meeting that I would have otherwise gone to. So those are the two things that I would have done in September, but I did go to the Regional Library Board. Okay, thank you.
If councillors would be so kind just to bring their microphones further forward, so I think you'll find it much easier for the public to hear. Thank you. Councillor Piper.
Thank you, Your Worship. On September 14th, I attended the Harrison Agassiz Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors meeting online. September 20th, I attended the Citizens Advisory Committee meeting with Mountain Institution online. September 22nd, I attended the Let's Mott C2C Forum. September 22nd, I also attended the Harrison Tourism Society Board of Directors meeting. September 23rd, I attended the online Parking Master Plan Public Information Center moderated by IBI Group, and it was good to hear residents' comments, understanding and perceptions of parking in the village. As a footnote, I did not complete the parking master plan survey that was available due to my ethical decision and in anticipation that I'll have to make a decision at this table later on. September 30th, I had the absolute privilege and honor to attend the Stay First Nation Walk to honor residential school survivors and in memory of the children that did not survive the tragedies and horrors of the residential schools on National Truth and Reconciliation Day. And with permission from the mayor, a public service announcement. The month of October is Purple Light Night, where awareness of domestic violence is brought forward and where no community is immune. Please show your support and turn on your exterior lights with purple lights. And thank you to staff who have illuminated our electronic message board as well as the plaza with purple lights. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Vital.
Thank you, Your Worship. On September 8th, I attended virtual Lower Mainland LGA Civics Planning Committee meeting. This will be a one-day event held later in the fall. And Lower Mainland LGA executive have decided once again that this will be a free event for registrants. On September 13th, I attended the Municipal Insurance Association of BC annual general meeting and happy to report that the association is in a very good financial state. September 14th to 17th, I attended the UBCM virtual conference. And I'm also pleased to report, Your Worship, that the resolution submitted by the village requesting the elimination of the PST on non-medical PPE was passed and endorsed by the membership. And now it will be forwarded to the provincial government for consideration. September 16th, I attended the Agassiz Harrison Healthy Communities meeting. September 22nd, I attended the mobilization event for the implementation of the joint Agassiz Harrison Situation Room. Although elected officials are not directly involved in the runnings and the workings of the table, stats will be provided to members and communities to possibly assist with any future planning and initiatives. September 24th, I attended the Lower Mainland LGA Strategic Planning and Executive Meeting. September 28th, on behalf of Mayor Facio, I attended the virtual stakeholder engagement session with the Minister of Labor, which was hosted by our MLA, Kelly Patton, and Chilliwack MLA, Dan Coulter. And that's my report, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Next order of business, please.
Yes, Your Worship, we'll move on to number 11, reports from the mayor.
Thank you. Okay, I think most of us who drive down Macomb several times a day are noticing that the new trail is being well used now by the citizens and visitors, and it's certainly getting folks off the road more than what it used to be. Still not completed. There's still no parking signage to be installed, and of course the benches and the crosswalk and the lights. So that's it's still in work in progress. So that's good to see, and it's good to see the public using it. And luckily, there were no trees that had to be removed, or any power poles had to be moved. So it worked out very well. On September the 30th, as Councillor Piper just mentioned, I also attended the Truth and Reconciliation Walk from the Eco Lodge on Morris Valley Road to the Sandpiper Golf Course, just over 3 kilometers. It was a great turnout. I guess there must have been about 300 people in the walk. And those who couldn't walk, the elders were taken in the bus. The weather was just terrible, it just rained all the way. But you know, the 7 drummers who were behind the sign never stopped drumming or singing virtually all the way to the Sandpiper. Shirts were available for everybody that needed them, and I was acknowledged and had the pleasure to speak on behalf of the community for the Day of Reconciliation. The Village Plaza, the flags all went up on that day, on the 30th, and will stay up till probably this time next year. And the lights at the plaza were till this month, orange. And of course, as Councillor Piper mentioned now, this for the month of May, it's October, it's the purple night, so that's going to remain with those lights. That of course is for domestic violence. The new regional measures that came forward from the health, Fraser Health, the mayors of Abbotsford, Chilliwack, Hope, Mission, Kent, and Fraser Valley Regional Districts were all on an emergency call with the Minister and Bonnie Henry, Minister Dix and Bonnie Henry, to discuss the health orders, which Bonnie Henry mentioned at 12:30 on the news that day, in regards to the new procedures that have been put in place. So that was the announcement was made specifically because of the concerns of the growing concerns for COVID-19 in the Fraser East communities. So that was brought to our attention, and hopefully things will improve. The mayors, all the mayors and the regional district chair all wrote a letter to have put out on all the media releases in regards to the COVID-19 shots. So we're all trying to do our best to try and educate people. Not trying to force anybody, we're just trying to educate them and get them to understand the importance of this pandemic. At the Regional District Board of Directors meeting, September the 23rd, we had a delegation from Metro Vancouver regarding the regional growth, looking forward to 2050 in the area. And it's Sad Dhaliwal was on the call, and the presentation was done by Heather McNeil. Also, we had a presentation by Jeff Cross, Translake Vice President of Planning and Policy. Again, looking forward to 2050 for increased transportation and different ways of people to communicate from one part of the province to the other. So that was a night of delegations. And if anybody is ever concerned about the village and their in-camera meetings, I can assure you at I attend 2 meetings a month for the regional district, and between the two, there could be up to 4 closed meetings, when we had 2 that particular night. On the open agenda, Mount Lehman Road, the industrial area now is going to be probably as large as the Annis Island moving forward. Will bring many jobs to that area. So that's part of Abbotsford is going to be busy for the years to come and getting more jobs, which is good. We had a nice blurb on the Metro News Reporter, which I believe is English magazine, Madeline? Is that right? Is that the one?
The Metro News Reporter,
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one you're referring to, but it might be the one that Mr. McElroy writes, the CBC reporter?
Yeah, thank you. So it shows our Front Street and of course the Sasquatch on the beach. So the small town of Harrison Hot Springs in Canada, British Columbia calls itself the Bigfoot capital of the world. So that was a nice ride up there for the village.
Oh, Your Worship,
Yes,
pardon me, I gave you the wrong information there. That is a British newspaper of large circulation. Yes, I was mistaken.
thank you. The Chilliwack Collaborative Services Committee expanded agenda. That's the division of family practice in Chilliwack, and that again was another lengthy meeting to discuss obviously the it's becoming like 400 a day now COVID testing at the at Chilliwack, and of course COVID numbers are high in the eastern end of the Fraser Valley. In 2022, there's going to be the new primary care center, new building on Evans Road in Chilliwack, which will have a lot of First Nations entrepreneurial stuff in there, a traditional wellness funding approval and micro project rollout. So that's looking forward to next year for the grand opening on Evans Road, and it will have all different type of medical services there to help the public. Hope was advocating for regarding their shelters in Hope there, that they're rather concerned that the funding was coming to an end for those shelters, and the mayor is working diligently with the province to try and improve funding coming forward to keep those centres opening. And basically the rest was just updates on the COVID and the Fraser Health. At the community forum, the Let's Not, we had the executive director of the Lower Fraser Fisheries Alliance, Murray Ned, who spoke to us regarding the ongoing concern with the fisheries and look into the next 10 years to try and maintain the important fish stocks. There's 30 First Nations involved and it covers 200 kilometers. It's a Lower Fraser Habitat Restoration Strategy Science that's been involved in this as well. It's a long process, but they're trying their hardest to try and preserve the salmon stocks. I had the pleasure to welcome the folks at the Agassiz Agricultural and Horticultural Association Fall Fair. It was nice to have that back this year, and it's I think it's something that we all needed to sort of give us a bit of a boost, being tied down with this pandemic for such a long time. It was terrible weather again, unfortunately, but people were out there, and it was nice to see the families and people that normally only see each other once a year. They were out there visiting as well. So that was good for the Agassiz Agriculture. And there was a parade, much shorter than usual, but at least there was a parade. And on the regional and corporate, at the regional district, there was just the Fraser Valley Regional District strategy for the next 2030. And of course, they used our bang the table scenario to get response from the public on the areas of concern. The regional district has approximately 330,000 residents. We have 23 board members, 6 municipalities and 8 electoral areas. And we deliver over 100 separate services to the residents of the district. Of course, the air quality and the Lower Fraser Valley airshed is very important to all of us down this way. As we know from Whatcom County all the way to Hope, it funnels down through the valley in between the mountains, and the air quality can get very bad at times. This has been an ongoing issue for many years with the regional district, and they've led the campaign to keep this ahead of things to try and improve the air quality in the Fraser Valley. And of course, there's always lots of discussions with the Metro Vancouver regarding their incinerator as well. And of course, it does bring we do have good ozone and we do have bad ozones. And it's a major concerns with that particulate matter getting into your lungs. Again, it is an ongoing process, and I have to thank the staff at the Fraser Valley Regional District for the great work they do on maintaining this work. And that's the end of my report. Next order of business, please.
Yes, thank you. We'll move on to number 12, reports from staff. The first report is from the Community Services Manager regarding the Resort Municipality Initiative Fund events.
Michelle?
Thank you, Your Worship. The current resort development strategy allocates $90,000 annually to Tourism Harrison to deliver tourism-related events. However, due to the ongoing pandemic and provincial health orders that affected gatherings and events, some events in 2021 coordinated by Tourism Harrison were canceled. Therefore, Tourism Harrison has submitted a reduced request for RMI funding, which includes a new event called Season of the Wild. The reduced funding request for 2021 includes Canada Day, Bands on the Beach, Lights by the Lake, Harrison Festival of the Arts, and the new event, Season of the Wild. That event meets RMI funding criteria. The recommendation is that $62,000 be funded to Tourism Harrison from the Resort Municipality Initiative budget for events held in 2021. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have a recommendation. Do we have a move by Councillor Piper, seconded by Councillor Vital? Discussion. We'll start with Councillor Piper.
Oh, thank you. I have no questions. I sit on the board, so I anticipated this was coming forward. And I applaud Tourism Harrison for embracing change, and I'm really looking forward to the success of the Season of the Wild event. Thank you, Your Worship.
Councillor Palmer.
Yes, just a question. So normally there would be $90,000 that would come from the RMI, and they're asking for 62. So there's $28,000 that will not be utilized by them this year that they normally would have been provided. What will happen with that 28,000? I mean, obviously it's going to sit in some account, but how will it sit and what can it be used for in the future?
Michelle.
Currently, it can be used for any pre-approved projects that are already in the resort development strategy. If it does not get used for those projects, it will stay in the RMI reserve account for the next RDS.
So it'll just carry, it'll just carry over then. No other question, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hooper.
Oh, thank you. Is this the last time that Tourism Harrison will be coming to us? Because under the MRDT program funding, are they taking over collecting of the money, the 3% levy on occupied rooms?
Michelle, you want to, or who wants that? Madeline?
Certainly, Your Worship, through you, and if the finance officer has anything to add, I would invite her to as well. But there's been no change in the allocation of the MRDT monies. It just simply used to flow through the village and then be forwarded directly on to Tourism Harrison. And now it's remitted directly from the province to Tourism Harrison. And that money is conditional. It can only be spent on marketing. It's not available to fund events and that sort of thing.
Right, thank you. So let's clear that. But on their marketing, they will have to go to the other stakeholders as well, won't they? The likes of Agassiz. On Tourism Harrison, or what is it? It's Harrison River Valley. If they're short, if there's a shortfall on their marketing, they will have to go to the other stakeholders, like Agassiz, Copcombe, Harrison Mills, and that for their funding.
Madeline?
There we go. Sorry about that. So the marketing portion of these budgets is normally funded by the MRDT, the hotel tax that we were just referring to, and that's collected from all of the areas. So that would be where tourism would go to for that funding. If you're looking at the detailed budget of the Wild Festival, you can see that they've indicated that just is it $10,000, Rhonda, will be coming from the RMI contribution through us.
So they are allowed to use their marketing money to actually fund an event.
They're allowed to use it for marketing the event. Yeah.
Thank you. No further questions. Thank you.
Councillor Vital, you have any comments?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for the report. I'm fully in support of the new initiative and new event that tourism has come out with, Season of the Wild. Given the past success of the Eagle Festival, which unfortunately was canceled because I believe it was originally a 2-day festival, and the amount of people that came out for the festival, it had shown that it was detrimental to the Eagles. So I'm really happy to see tourism has picked it up, and the way they're going to run the event is to extend it over a period of time, and I'm especially happy to see that they're going to be including our indigenous neighbors also in the marketing of the event. So I will support the recommendation, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hooper.
Yeah, one last question. We've got the Canada Day celebrations down here as 15,000 and the bands on the beach as 10,000. But they seem rather round numbers to me. I mean, these are events that have gone. Do we actually get to see the actual money they've actually laid out, or have they spent more than this on it?
Wanda?
Yeah, they do spend more than this on each event. This is just the RMI contribution towards it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, these some time back before all this happened, the village used to contribute to these events, and then it was passed on to Tourism Harrison to it. So it's just a continuation, nothing that's any new, but I'm really happy of this Season of the Wild. I think that's a great initiative to bring forward. I think it's been a long time coming to, there's always been a lot of talk about getting the culture of this area and the First Nations. And I think that's going to be a great draw to bring that forward. And I like the name, the Season of the Wild. It's Tourism Harrison is to be complimented for their strategies and their marketing for what they've done for this community. Now, of course, it's the valley they're involved with as well, all the way to the electoral area C, which is Harrison Mills and that area, and the District of Kent. So I think overall that's a well spent amount of money on these events that bring tourists and to our communities, and also it's also beneficial to the residents as well. Councillor Hooper.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, on the funding of the events, I mean, most people when they come through this end of the Fraser Valley come to Harrison, and the other areas such as Agassiz pick up the free trade. Will they be contributing towards these festivals as well, or are they going to just contribute to their own? It's something I think we need to know just to make sure that we're not bearing the brunt of it all. Thank you.
I believe this has already been announced several weeks ago by myself when I brought it forward at the Fraser Valley Regional District to involve these other areas, and if they have accommodations that contribute to the MRDT, of course, that money will go towards that as well. So that was already brought up by myself several weeks ago, and it was and the important part was that that the District of Kent and the Victoria Area C bought into this, which they did. Thank you. Okay, on the recommendation, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Everybody in favor? Thank you. Next order of business, please.
Yes, we'll move on to the next report, also from the Community Services Manager regarding off-leash dog park survey summary.
Bill, page 27.
Thank you, Your Worship. A survey seeking feedback for an off-leash dog park was made available on getintoitharrison.ca, our engagement website, as well as on paper available at the village office. The survey was open from July 27th to August 31st, 2021. The survey received 207 responses online and 14 paper copies were submitted for a total of 221 responses. The survey was advertised widely on the village website, Facebook, electronic messaging board, the physical bulletin boards, and an insert was included in the utility bill mailout. A handout was also placed on the reception counter at the village office. A prize valued at approximately $50 was offered as an incentive for participation, and 132 of the participants chose to enter the draw. The majority of respondents were in favor of an off-leash park. Fire Hall Park was the most common choice for a preferred location. When asked if they would financially support the capital costs to build an off-leash dog park, the majority of respondents were in favor of an expenditure between $50,000 and $75,000. When asked if they would support ongoing maintenance and asset replacement costs, between $5,000 and $10,000 annually was the predominant choice. 95% of respondents were residents. The recommendation is that the off-leash dog park survey summary be received. Thank you.
And this is here for receipt. Do you have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Piper, seconded by Councillor Vital. And if there is any discussion, I'm just going to make as this is here for receipt, I would suggest that this may need some lengthy discussion and also maybe some costing attached to it. So I would suggest that this be referred to a committee of the whole for a more in-depth discussion. But if there's questions from council other than what I've said, I'll leave it at that. Councillor Hooper.
Yeah, so this is just for receipt at the moment. It's not set in stone that the like the
I suggested we should go to a committee of the
so
whole.
it's going to a committee of the whole. No problem with that. Thank you.
Just like to thank our manager of community services, Rhonda Shell, for a very in-depth process that they went through here, and I haven't seen a report like this for a long time with such a layout and the information that came in from the public. So that's thank you very much on that. So that being said, I'll call the question. All in favor of receipt? Opposed, anybody? No? All in favor? Next order of business, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. We'll move on to the late item, item C. This is a verbal report. And reporting out from the regular in-camera meeting of October 4th, 2021, Council approved a motion and also approved that it be reported out this evening. The motion was that BDO Canada LLP be appointed as the municipal auditor for the village of Harrison Hot Springs for the years ending December 31st, 2021 to December 31st, 2025 at the following costs. For the year ending 2021, $34,000. For the year ending 2022, $35,300. For the year ending 2023, $36,700. For the year ending 2024, $38,000. And for the year ending 2025, $39,500. Sorry, Your Worship. Just here for council, it's the information. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And the next order of business, please.
Yes, we'll move on to number 13, bylaws. We have a report from the financial officer regarding the 2021-2025 financial plan amendment bylaw number 1169, 2021.
Financial officer.
Thank you, Your Worship. The 2021 to 2025 Financial Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1169, 2020-21 was before Council on September 7th, 2021 and received first three readings. The recommendation is that the 2021 to 2025 Financial Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1169, 2020-21 be adopted. Thank you.
And we have a recommendation to adopt, moved by Councillor Piper, seconded by Councillor Vital. Any comments on this?
So this is just a text amendment only. There's no changes to the figure work whatsoever.
Just a text amendment.
Thank you.
Palmer,
The only change we're making really is the wording that allows that if we proceed with a revitalization grant, that it fits in, that it's just that wording is the only change.
Yes, the only wording change is under the permissive tax exemptions on page 66 of
Right.
your agenda, where the policies and objectives say council may consider a revitalization tax exemption in conjunction with its financial plan for the purpose of providing incentives for development and revitalization of property within the village. That is the text amendment.
Which in itself does not create the permissive tax exemption, just simply would allow it if we were to subsequently approve it.
That's correct.
Thank you.
any other questions from council? None being, I'll call the question. All in favor? Nobody opposed? Thank you. Next order of business, please.
Yes, thank you. We'll move on to the next report from the Community Services Manager. This is regarding waste disposal and collection bylaw number 1172, 2021.
Michelle?
Thank you, Your Worship. Staff has drafted a new bylaw for council's consideration, which removes the allowance of blue bags as containers, provides details on the handling of glass packaging, updates to the maximum allowable amounts disposed, fees, and some general housekeeping to certain provisions. The bylaw will also repeal the current bylaw. The recommendation is that waste collection and disposal bylaw number 1172, 2021 be given first, second, and third readings. Thank you.
So we have recommendation, first, second, and third reading, moved by Councillor Piper, second by Councillor Vidal. Any discussion? You have your light on, Councillor Palmer?
Oh, sorry. Yes, but I wish.
Yes, carry on, sir.
A couple of things. So substantively, I still am working my way around the fact that this is going to put a limit on the number of recyclable items that residents can put out each week. So that still concerns me. The actual wording of the bylaw, though, let me start off being petty. So I think the wording, it confuses me. So it sets out that if you want to put an extra item out, place more than one container in any waste category. So if you want to put out an extra item of any of the waste categories, that would be household, recyclable, organics, green waste, or glass, then you need to put an extra tag sticker, correct?
Tags are only required for waste.
It's only for the waste, not the recycling. You can put out as much as you like.
I'm just confused because place one container of any waste category for waste collection, but all of the others, they're all referred to as waste, household waste, recyclable waste, glass packaging waste. I'm not clear how that ties into just household waste. That was what I was concerned about. I tried to go through and then I looked at the definition that admittedly the tag sticker means the sticker required to be used for the pickup of extra household waste. So it's clear there, but it's just that when it talks about in E1, in 4E1, it placed more than one container of any waste category. So if it's any waste category, it can't just be the one category, it's all the waste categories. So I just thought the wording on that was wrong.
Comments, Michelle, on that? I don't. You did see the portion, Councillor, that it's any amount of recycling. It's not limited.
Well, again, on the waste collection day, each resident requiring service shall not place more than one container of any waste category. And so I take that, again, I don't see any way that I would see that other than household waste, recyclable waste, glass packaging waste, green waste, they're all waste categories. So I take that paragraph meaning that you can't put more than one unit out unless you attach a tag to it.
That's referring to the regular garbage. Like I personally attach a tag to ours, but waste, you can put as much bags of garden waste or recyclables as you wish. There's no limit on that. And the CAO has a comment?
Your worship, through you, I think it is a good point that there is an inconsistency in that part of the bylaw between the definition, which is quite clear, where the tag sticker means the sticker required to be used for the pickup of extra household waste, which is one category of waste, and the clause that Councillor Palmer is referring to being 4E1, I think needs to be corrected to be consistent.
Well, I think if it's placed more than one container of household waste, and that's what we're talking about, it's just the wording, I think, is inconsistent, like, and that's exactly my point. There's two different ways of reading this, but if you read that one, it says you can only put out one container, otherwise you pay extra.
So any would be,
So it would place more than
Household.
one container.
any would be household.
Yes, place more than one container of household waste
Yes.
Okay,
for waste collection pickup unless otherwise issued an extra, then that would make sense.
yep, that friendly amendment, that's fine.
Yes.
Yep, that's fine.
And then, and I'm not trying to be challenging or difficult. Place household waste for waste collection pickup unless inside a sealed container. So, yeah, I never thought of those things as being sealed, but I guess I'm just, okay. I think of those as closed containers, but not sealed. I think of, anyway, that's fine. That word bothered me as well, but sealed is, I think, when I put something in a blue bag and I tie it up at the top, and those containers, their lids are flopping open and they're not sealed, they're closed. But again, maybe I'm being too specific about wording. Sorry about that. The lawyer in me got away.
Anybody else have a comment on Councillor Hooper? I think was next, and Councillor Vital.
Yeah, it's on the green waste, you can put out 10 bags. Is that correct?
Did you like?
And that's going to be 250 kilos or 530 pounds in weight. Now, the thing that gets me is they're saying that 121 litres is the maximum, and no more than 25 kilos capable of being manually emptied. Now, someone emptying 25 kilos constantly, surely he's got a health and safety reparative strain injury thing. I'm wondering why this company hasn't got a manual lift for these.
They do have the lift for the organics, and the others,
Because
which are majority is green waste in the bags, and also the recyclables at the moment are either in a container or in the blue bags.
But the other point is that if we're putting the green waste in these paper bags and we're putting them out and it's a downpour of rain, how often are these bags going to split?
How long have we had this company now? Since 2009?
Yeah, probably about 10 years or
2009.
so.
I haven't had any reports since then of bags split with the rain. They're quite
No.
strong, those
Yeah.
bags for the green waste.
I'm just concerned that it's got capable of being manually handed and manually emptied.
Well, that's the company, that's not.
It's, yeah, but surely we have a responsibility to make sure that the company's working within health and safety reasons. I mean, I think a lot of people here would struggle to pick up 53 pounds in weight. So I'm just saying it seems to me it's, well, I'd like to see the company use more lifting gear for the protection of their own workforce and to stop any spillages should they happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Vital.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to our Community Services Manager, just a couple of questions. Seems to indicate that implementation day will be January 1st, 2022. And as kind of the new regulations is going to require some level of adjustment from our residents. I just would like to know what is the plan for education and awareness campaign, and will there be any sort of a grace period once it's implemented? It's going to be quite a change. Thank you.
Michelle?
The plan is to begin educating people as of January when this comes into effect. And we won't actually have the recycling and glass bins until later into the year. So we wouldn't begin enforcing it until those are in place. But to help residents get used to the new program, we would start our education early.
Good, thank you. And I just want a clarification to that once the additional containers are available, that they will be supplied by the village to residents. Is that correct?
That is correct. We would use the same process as we did rolling out the organic bins.
Thank you. And one more question. I noticed that Schedule A, that the sticker tags, and I'm assuming that's for additional bags, would be at a cost of $2.50. In the past, I know that the company has provided annually maybe 3 or 4 stickers for free to residents. Do you know if that is going to continue?
Residents will continue to be provided with 4 tags per year.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Nothing further, Your Worship.
Councillor Hooper?
Yeah, again, on the green waste, they won't be allowed to put any tree trimmings or anything like that into the bags, will they? Because it quite states, means plants, landscaping, vegetation, and lawn trimmings. So any trimmings of trees and bushes won't be allowed in the green waste. Is that correct?
Michelle?
In the definitions, green waste includes plants, landscape, vegetation, and lawn trimmings.
So there'd be no tree trimmings in there or bush trimmings, branches, small stubs and the rest of them.
It just
Okay.
says landscape vegetation, and if it fits within the organics container, then it should be allowed.
Sorry, I couldn't quite.
If it fits this definition of landscape vegetation, and it also fits within the container limit, then it would be allowed.
So they will be allowed if they're in the bags for the limits. So they will be able to put tree trimmings, everything else in there. Thank you.
Further questions? Councillor Piper?
Thank you, Worship, through you to staff. I'd just like a little bit of more elaboration. I've asked before about the education component around this subject. Can you enlighten me on what that looks like for our public?
Michelle?
Definitely, we would have our new engagement website complete with information, also mail out, and we will include instructions and graphics along with the collection schedule and the tags beginning in January.
If I may, do you anticipate, if allowed with the PHOs, an open house of sorts with the service provider, or?
Yeah, if possible, that's a great idea. And the service provider has offered to be able to do that.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. No further questions. I'll call the question with a slight amendment there. Yes, Ms. Key?
Yes, Your Worship, if I may just read out the recommendation. So Councillor Clare, So the recommendation is that the waste collection and disposal bylaw number 1172, 2021 as amended be given for second and third readings.
I'll call the question now. All in favor? Opposed? Nobody? Everybody in favor? Thank you. Next order of business.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. We'll move on to number 14, new business.
Next order of business, please.
Thank you. We'll move on to number 15, questions from the public pertaining to agenda items only, and we'll allow the public that's attending in person to go ahead.
Are there any questions from those attending in person pertaining to the agenda? Please come forward. Thank you.
Good evening. John Allen, 398 Hot Springs Road. The agenda appears to be incomplete, Mr. Mayor, and my question is, if a resident writes a letter to the mayor and council and submits it to the village office in lots of time for the Wednesday 12 o'clock deadline, wouldn't the writer have a reasonable expectation that that letter would be on the agenda and be dealt with by council? Even a matter of common courtesy says, if somebody takes the trouble to write you a letter, you need to deal with it properly. And in the past, that has meant that those letters came to council on the agenda and council got a chance to discuss them and to respond. But the 3 letters that I submitted last Wednesday are nowhere on the agenda. So my question is, what happens to these letters? Do they go straight into the round file? What happens? Why are they not in front of the council? Aren't people entitled to address their elected officials? And isn't writing a letter one of the best ways to do that? And isn't it disrespectful of council or whoever's organizing the agenda to ignore those people, whether it's me or somebody else?
There's no disrespect to anybody, Mr. Allen. Secondly, if I ask the corporate officer to clarify.
Sorry, I can't quite hear you. Could you speak up?
Before I ask the corporate officer to clarify that, unless the letter stipulates that it's to go on the council agenda, and it just goes in its correspondence in the office. So I asked the corporate officer to clarify that.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, the letters were received in the village office, stamped, and they have been circulated to council through the circulation package. Council at that point has option to direct staff to place any of that correspondence on the agenda. Mr. Allen will be receiving a letter acknowledging receipt of his letters.
There you go, sir.
So just for clarification, if I was to preface my letter with a sentence that said, this letter is intended for the public meeting next Monday night, please ensure that it's on the agenda, then can I be assured that it will be on the agenda?
Generally, Your Worship, unless it's a request asking for some action of council, it will go through a circulation package to council.
So it won't go on the agenda. Thank you.
Any other questions from members of the public before we go to Zoom? No, go to Zoom, please. Any members who are watching this on Zoom would like to ask a question pertaining to the agenda? Thank you.
Any member of the public who wishes to ask a question pertaining to the agenda should now use the raise hand feature. Your Worship, there are no questions from the public on Zoom.
Oh, thank you. So a motion to adjourn by Councillor Palmer, seconded by Councillor Vidal. Call the question, all in favor? Thank you, everybody. Thank you those attending this evening. Thank you, staff.